Okay, then let's start like today's session. So in today's session, basically, we will continue that continue with our previous session. So in the last session, if you remember, we discussed about like acceleration field. Okay, so if you remember, like I said, the acceleration of a fluid, it is because of two reasons. One, the velocity is varying with respect to time, and the second reason is the velocity is varying with respect to location. So if we take a Eulerian coordinate system, okay, then actually we can express the motion of a fluid using a acceleration field also. Okay. So let's say, then I told you that the components, we have three components of acceleration. One is ax equal to du by dt. Okay. Then this is delta u by delta t plus u delta u by delta x plus v delta u by delta y plus w delta u by delta z. So this is the variation of x component of the velocity, okay, along which directions? Along x direction, y direction, z direction, and then with respect to time. Okay. Similarly, the y component of acceleration, okay, it will be given by delta w by delta v by delta t, correct, plus u. Now just replace this term with v, okay, with the term v. So just remember that now we are going to see the variation of y component of velocity with respect to the three axes x, y, and z, as well as with respect to the time. So now this is v, then you have delta v by delta y plus w, then you have delta v by delta z. Then az is equal to dw by dt. Okay. So delta w by delta t plus u delta w by delta x plus v delta w by delta y plus w delta w by delta z. Okay. So in the last session, if you remember, like using a simple mathematics, that is using the Taylor series expansion, we came to this relation. Okay. So now your finally a vector will be simply ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. That is the acceleration of a fluid particle at a particular point p. Okay. So now let's see, let's understand this. So here, first of all, you might be seeing a different kind of operator for the first time. Okay. So you might have seen many times dy dt or something like that, differential operator, then the partial differential operator. But here, for the first time, you are seeing like capital D divided by capital dt. So what is this operator called? So this operator is generally called as, just remember, so this operator is generally called as total or substantial, just remember these words, or sometimes we call this as material derivative. Okay, so we call this as total, substantial, or material derivative. Now if you observe here, okay, this acceleration term, it is composed of two terms. Okay, so let us take this thing, the x component of acceleration. So this acceleration term, delta u by delta t, which you are seeing here. Okay, so this acceleration component is called as local derivative. Okay. Or we call this acceleration term as temporal acceleration or local acceleration. Okay. Similarly, this term is also called as local derivative or local acceleration or temporal acceleration. Okay. Now let's go to this term. See, so local derivative or temporal acceleration means simply that you are visualizing your particle, okay, within the vicinity of a particular point. Okay, that means within its near around this point P. That means you are checking the behavior of that fluid particle locally. Okay, locally. So that's why we call this as local derivative. Now, coming to this, this term is called as convective derivative, or you can simply say convective acceleration. These three terms, they are called as convective acceleration terms. So just remember this term, and then this is local derivative, and these three terms are called as convective acceleration terms. Okay, so this is defining the change in velocity with respect to time, and this is defining the change in velocity with respect to space coordinates. Now, the summation of these two, it is called as total acceleration, and this operator, so this operator, that is capital D divided by capital DT, okay, that is called as material derivative. Okay. Now, just to remember, why do we call this as material derivative? So sometimes we call these points, the points at which I am going to study the behavior of fluid particle, we call these points as material points. So that's why this name came from the definition of a material point, which is nothing, which is a fluid particle only, fluid particle at a given point. So sometimes we call these points as material points. So that's why we call this operator as material derivative. Correct? Now, okay. So now let's talk of some important things. Okay. Again, let me talk of this type of flow. Then first is steady and uniform. Then second is steady and non-uniform. Third is again unsteady and uniform. And finally, we have unsteady and non-uniform. Okay, so that is the type of flow. Now let's talk about local acceleration, or you can call this as temporal acceleration as well. Temporal acceleration. And then let's take another term, which is convective acceleration. Okay. Now let's see this. So first of all, let's come to steady and uniform flow. Now just tell me, will the local acceleration in this case, is it going to exist or will it be zero?
Zero.
It will be?
Sir, it will be zero, sir.
Zero, sir, zero.
Yeah, so it is zero because the velocity, okay, that is not going to change with respect to time. Now, what about the convective acceleration? Is it going to exist or will it be zero? Think about that. The flow is steady and uniform.
Sir, convective acceleration will also be zero because there is no change in the position of the object also.
So
That's why
very
it will
good.
also.
So
So dx
see
by
here,
dz
that means
will be
the velocity of fluid particle or at any point, it is not going to change with respect to what? With respect to
time
time,
and
with respect to space coordinate. Okay.
yes.
So that's why convective acceleration will also be zero. Now, if the flow is steady and non-uniform, then what about local acceleration? It will be
Zero.
zero. But this is going to
Convective
Zero.
acceleration. Yes.
exist.
Conductive will be something exist. It will exist.
So because the flow is non-uniform. Now here unsteady and uniform. So flow is unsteady, but it is
Exists.
Both exist.
And
local
Oh no,
acceleration to exist.
zero,
Okay, and convective acceleration is,
zero.
zero.
and in this case,
Both exist.
Both exist,
both
sir.
exist. Fine. So now this is the discussion about local acceleration, convective acceleration. So we will take up some numericals maybe in the next session. So let's today discuss very important thing which is related to this one. Let me first check the time. Okay, so let me take you through a very important discussion. So generally, this discussion is important because most of the time in our laboratory experiments, we usually use these concepts, the concepts which I am going to tell you, okay, to define the motion of a fluid. So here, basically, we have three parameters, or we have three concepts which are used to define the motion of a fluid. So one is a streamline, then you have path line, then you have street line. Okay. So before discussing this, I will just suggest you just take all these cases and just try to understand in which case the Eulerian and Lagrangian approach, they will both become the same. They will both represent the same thing, same idea. So just try to think about it. Consider it at a homework and try to think about it. In which cases the Eulerian and Lagrangian approach, they will remain the same. So now let's come to this. So what is a streamline? First of all, let's take the idea of a streamline. So let us say we have a flow field like this. So we have a flow field in which the fluid is flowing. Now in that flow field, what I did, in that flow field, I drew certain lines. I drew certain lines. And while drawing these lines, okay, I kept this thing in mind that these lines, they should be drawn in such a way that if I draw a tangent, to this line at a particular point P, let's say, then this tangent, okay, this tangent, it should represent the velocity vector at that point, correct? So again, let's say if I took a point here and I drew a tangent, to this line at this point, okay? So this vector, okay, at point P, it should represent the velocity vector. Okay, so if this is the situation that if you have a certain set of lines and you are drawing, okay, you are drawing the tangent to those lines at a particular point, so that tangent,
equals to
that tangent
surface
is
tension. बरोबर.
going to represent the velocity vector at that particular point. So if this is
Into
the
sigma into area now into range.
Dev,
So if this is the situation, then we call this set of lines as streamline. Okay, so just remember, let me write down here. So streamline at any instant. Okay, so always remember that we are going to check this property, check this behavior at any instant of time. So we are drawing the tangent to the streamline at a particular point at any instant of time t, correct? So it is an imaginary line. Just remember that we are drawing an imaginary line there, drawn through the flow field in a manner such that the velocity vector of the fluid at each and every point on the streamline is tangent to the streamline at that instant.
Sir, and velocity in every layer will be equal.
No, this is not necessary. Okay.
Okay.
So this is not necessary. So the velocity can vary. Let's say it can V1, it is V2. So the only thing is like that tangent which you have drawn at that particular point, it should represent the velocity vector at that point. So in very simple words, you can say that direction of instantaneous velocity vector. Just remember, direction of instantaneous velocity vector at each point is given by the tangent to streamline. Okay, so this is the idea of a streamline. So sometimes we use these ideas, use these concepts in our laboratories, correct? To just examine that, to examine the flow of a fluid. Okay, so let me ask you one question. So can two streamlines intersect each other? Is it possible?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Why?
Sir, because when
So because
they
then the velocity.
there will be two slopes, which is not possible.
Yes,
So
sir.
if
At one
let's
point.
say two streamlines are crossing with each other. Now, if I take this point, correct? So this is representing the velocity vector here in this direction. And again, at the same point, this is representing the velocity vector, the tangent to this, representing the velocity vector in this direction. Now, at point P, we have two directions of velocity. So this is not possible. Okay. So two directions of velocity are not possible. So that's why two streamlines, they cannot intersect each other. Okay, so just try to understand the physical interpretation of streamline. So for that, I will do one thing. I will share one video with all of you. Okay, so just go home, and that is actually a very nice video, very good video. It has been made like during early 90s. Okay, but still the explanation, the concept, like it is the best. You won't find that kind of explanation anywhere. So just to understand the physical interpretation of a streamline, okay, I will share the video with all of you. Just go through that link, watch that video, and if then again you have any doubts, any query, then please discuss. Okay, so now right now let me write down the equation for streamline. So what should be the equation for a streamline? So let's say around this point P1, what I did, I just considered a vector. ds vector, correct? So I just considered a vector here, okay, of infinitesimally small length, and let's say the length of this portion of this streamline, okay, this displacement of streamline is, let's say, ds vector, correct? So now just tell me what should be the equation. Can anyone think that what should be the equation? So simply just remember that we have to relate these two components, ds vector and v vector, okay? So can anyone think what should be the equation? So okay, then let me give you one more hint. Let's say there is a vector a vector, then there is a vector b vector. Both are in the same direction. Both are in almost in the same direction, correct? So this is a vector, then this is b vector. Okay. If I take the dot product of these two, then this will be simply, tell me, mod of a vector, mod of b vector. And if I take the
Cos theta, sir.
then this will be,
Same direction, yes.
since both are in the same direction, the cross product will be,
So it will be 0, no, sir.
Into B vector modulus sine theta n cap.
so sine theta. So sine theta here it is 0, right?
Zero.
Because both are in the same direction. So here this cross product will be 0. So now you can tell me what should be the equation for a streamline then? See, I have taken an infinitesimally small length around this point P1. Okay. So you can think that this ds vector and this v vector both are going to exist in the same direction at point P. Okay. So now ds vector, v vector cross ds vector is equal to 0. So this is the equation for streamline. Now let us bring it to two-dimensional coordinate, convert it to a three-dimensional coordinate system. So let us simplify this. Okay. Coordinate system. Let us simplify this. So in the three-dimensional coordinate system, we have this v vector as u I cap plus v j cap plus w k cap, and this ds vector, which is representing infinitesimally small length of the streamline. So basically, it is dx I cap dy j cap, okay, dz k cap. Fine. Now here, just take this as v vector cross ds vector is equal to 0. Now, let's simplify this. So if you remember that how we used to solve these equations, you remember this is I cap, j cap, and this is k cap. So this is u, this is v, this is w, and this is dx, this is dy, and this is dz, and this should be equal to 0, correct? So just remember how we used to solve this. This is I cap, then in the bracket we have v dz minus w dy, correct? If you remember that how we used to solve this, then here we actually took the minus sign, minus j cap again, but now just exclude the middle row, the middle column, sorry, and then use these two. So minus j cap u dz, this multiplied by this, minus w dx, minus w dx, again plus k cap. Okay, so only here we put the minus sign. Now here plus k cap. Now this is u dy minus v dx. So if you are taking k cap, then exclude this column, take the remaining two. If you are taking j cap, then exclude this column, take the remaining two. Correct? Similarly, if you are taking I cap, then exclude this column, take the remaining two. So very simple. And you have to just keep in mind that when you take j cap, there should be a negative sign here. So this should be equal to 0. Now you can very easily guess this, that now since these components, okay, the components in the, let's say, x, y, and z direction on the right hand side, they are 0. So on the left hand side, they should also be 0. is 0. So u dy minus v dx equal to 0. Right? So now the equation for a streamline, if you solve this, it is simply given by dx by u, dy by v, dw by z. So this is the equation for a streamline. So now if somebody asks you like, okay, the value of u is given to you. So just substitute the value of u there. So this u is a function of what? X, y, z, and let's say the time t. Okay, so just put the value there and integrate that equation. So once you integrate it, okay, and take the boundary conditions. Always remember that cannot be defined like simply with this one. So you have to consider the boundary conditions also. So we will take up some numerical on this, then you will understand. So this is the final equation for a streamline, right? Now let me take you to another important idea, another important concept. So that is called as path line. Okay. So a path line, just remember that this is an outcome of Lagrangian approach. So while defining the path line, we are actually following the Lagrangian approach. Okay. So now let me define this. So path line. So it's very easy. This, as the name suggests, that path line is what? The trajectory of a fluid particle. Now, when we talk of Lagrangian approach, then we always know that we need to take the identity of that particle. So the trajectory of a fluid particle of fixed identity is called as the path line. Okay. So it's very simple. So if the fluid particle, let's say at some interval of time, at some moment t equal to t naught, I define a fluid particle at, let's say, at a certain position s naught. Then I said like, okay, the identity of that particle is this s naught vector. And when I'm going to trace the trajectory of that fluid particle, okay, in the flow field, then I'm going to say that that fluid particle is actually tracing a path line. Okay, it's tracing a path line. So now a family, so we all know that streamlines and these things, they are representing a family. So a family of path lines, represent. So if you have a family of path lines, so it's very obvious that they will represent the trajectories of different fluid particles. Okay, please remember, with different identities. Correct. So let me draw the path line for all of you. So this is the path line. Okay. Here. So this is P1. Let's say this is P1, the P2. Okay. So let's say this is a fluid particle of with some position S1 vector and S2 vector. Then let's say this is P3. Now they are tracing this path in the flow field. Correct? So this is generally called as what? This is called as path line. Okay. So now the locus of family of lines, okay, which are representing the trajectory of a fluid particle of fixed identity, they are representing the path lines. Correct. Now just tell me here, can a path line intersect? Okay, first of all, this thing, can two path lines intersect with each other. So just tell me, can two path lines intersect each other?
Yes, sir. I think
Yes,
they
sir.
can.
Okay, so now they can intersect with each other. Okay, because ultimately these two are different fluid particles. So we are now interested in the motion of that
Yes,
fluid
yes.
particle. We are not interested in the location. Okay, so now two path lines can intersect with each other. So let me ask, yes. Okay, so let me ask another question. Can a path line intersect itself? Can a
No,
path
sir.
line intersect
Because
itself?
it is a particle. How can it intersect itself?
Just think about it. So let's say,
And if it's in a circular motion, then yes.
Okay, okay. In a turbulent kind of motion, it is possible. But if we consider a very streamlined laminar motion,
Yes.
then I
In
don't
circular
think.
motion or
No.
in
Yeah, yeah. Then
SHF,
it
so
can.
see here,
then
so
it can just
just it's very simple. Let's say if you have a ball and you drop this ball over a curved surface like this, so it traced this path, correct? Now it went to this part. Okay, now this ball, just consider this ball as a fluid particle and it is like, let's say, flowing over this curved surface. Okay, now this ball, okay, it is tracing this motion. Now when it reached here, again it went back. Okay, so the point is that if you treat this ball as a fluid particle, then you can very easily guess that it is possible that a path line can intersect itself. Okay, so let's say this will start from here. This fluid particle started from here. It was tracing this path. It was tracing this path. Then suddenly this thing happened, and then it moved like this. So it's very obvious. Now this fluid particle, it can intersect its path. Means we are tracing the motion of this fluid particle. So it flowed like this. It traced this path, and it went like this. Okay, then it went like this. Then it came to this path. So a path line can intersect itself. Okay, it can intersect itself. So now just the answer will be yes. Okay, so can you guess, can anyone guess in what kind of motion you might have observed this kind of behavior? So like
Turbulent.
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 how, means let's say like let's say I placed a water in a bowl, correct, and I want to generate the path line. Okay, I want to test this whether the path line is intersect itself or not. So what kind of motion shall I give to the water in the bowl?
Like a washing machine, like rotational.
Okay, so let me make it more clear. Shall I give a translational motion to that ball, or shall I give a rotational motion to the water in the bowl?
rotational motion.
Rotational motion.
So if you give, let's say, a rotational motion, so such kind of flows are generally called as vortex flows. So there are certain other things that are associated with the vortex flow. So that also I will discuss later on. But right now you can like imagine that this can happen like when the flow is, let's say, rotational in nature. So it can happen that the fluid particles, they are crossing their own paths, correct? So now let me take you to the equation for path line. So the equation for path line, it's not very tough. It is very simple. Equation for path line is simply v vector. You know that now this velocity vector v is a function of s vector and t. Now just integrate this v vector is ds vector by dt. Then this is v s vector comma t. So now we know that the velocity, it's, if you take like, let's say, Eulerian approach. Let's talk of Eulerian approach only. So if you say that this velocity vector is a function of what? Some displacement s vector and time t. Okay, so this I am like following the Eulerian approach only. But now when I am going to integrate it, okay, just integrate this equation. Then what will happen? This is going to give you s vector, and here it will be again some function s. But now ultimately, if you remember, you are going to integrate this, then you need to apply the boundary conditions. Okay, so boundary conditions, Okay, that means at time t equal to 0, what was happening? Okay, so ultimately you will integrate this, then there will be a constant term plus c or something like that. Then when you apply the boundary conditions, you derive the constant term, and then when you substitute this constant term here finally into the equation, then this will be given by s naught comma t. So
Sir,
see, we
yes, sir.
started from
Sir,
the Eulerian.
it's Lagrangian approach.
Yeah, so we started from the Eulerian approach. Just remember, we started from the Eulerian approach, but ultimately the whole equation it reduces to the Lagrangian only, because ultimately this s vector it becomes a function of the original position. That means the identity of fluid particle and time t. Okay, so just remember this thing, that even if you start defining your equation using Eulerian approach, I have used actually Eulerian approach only here to form the equation, that is v vector is a function of some displacement s vector comma time t. So I am taking a point p here. Okay, so let's say I am taking a point p here, and these are my coordinate system. Okay, so now this is Eulerian approach only, that okay, you have s vector comma time t. But now what will happen when you are going to solve this, integrate this, solve this, finally this will reduce to Lagrangian approach only, because now this s vector, okay, so this fluid particle, let's say it was somewhat here at p naught, and at that time this s naught vector, okay, this was the identity of this fluid particle. Now this fluid particle was tracing this path and it crossed this point p. So at time t it crossed this point p. So I am taking, let's say, the velocity vector v is a function of s vector comma t according to what? According to Eulerian approach. But ultimately when I am going to integrate it, so this s vector, it is going to be dependent upon this s naught vector, the identity of fluid particle. So that is the simple equation for path line. Okay. Now let me ask you one more thing. Let's talk of steady flow. So in a steady flow, if I say to you that the Eulerian and the Lagrangian versions, they become the same. So is it correct or not? So in a
It
steady
is
flow,
correct.
the velocity of a fluid particle, it is not changing with respect to time. Okay. So if I say that the Eulerian and Lagrangian approach, they will reduce the same to the same version. Okay. They will both represent the same thing. Okay. When we are talking that the flow is steady. So in steady flow, what happens? The Eulerian and the Lagrangian versions, just remember, Lagrangian versions both become the same. Okay, because I am saying the velocity vector at this point p is not changing with respect to time. So if I take a point p naught, let's say here, somewhere from where the particle started its journey. Okay, so at that point also the velocity vector was p naught. So here we also the velocity, at, let's say, at this p naught, like at some time t equal to t naught, okay, the velocity was v naught vector. So at this point also the velocity vector was v naught, and at this point, let's say after time t, the velocity vector is again, okay, sorry, at after time t, okay, the velocity vector here at the same point is again v naught vector. Okay, so what is happening? The velocity is not changing with respect to time. So in this case, in a steady flow, what happens actually? The Eulerian and Lagrangian approach, they both represent the same thing. So just think about it. Think about this thing. Okay. So if they both represent the same thing, then what happens actually? Hence, the streamlines, just remember, streamlines and path lines become the same. Always remember this thing, that what happens if the flow is steady? That means the variation in the fluid properties is only with respect to location. It is not going to vary with respect to time, right? So in that case, what happens? That the Eulerian and Lagrangian version, they become the same, and the streamlines and path lines, they both represent the same thing. Now, if I ask you that in a steady flow, can the path line intersect? So what happens in a steady flow? Can the path line intersect? So let me take this. Okay. Let me make it more simple. So the flow is steady. Okay. So at time, let's say t equal to 0 at this point P, the velocity vector was, let's say, it was tangential to this. Okay. So let us say like the velocity vector, it was okay. So let us say that this was like v vector. Let us take a tangent here. Okay, so this was v vector. Okay, and what happened? Like at time t, that fluid particle, it was somewhere here, and the velocity vector was, let's say, v vector. And again, after time, let's say t equal to t1. Again, this fluid particle came to this position, and let's say at that time, the velocity vector v vector, it was in this direction. Okay, so now this tangent is here, and at that time, at that time the tangent, what, at time t equal to t0, the tangent was here, and at time t equal to t1, the tangent was here. Now you know that the velocity vector, it is not going to change with respect to time. So but what happened, that when it reached at this point, okay, so the magnitude remained the same, but what happened, the direction changed. So that means that you cannot have two directions at a particular point in a steady flow, right? So now the streamlines and path lines, they are becoming the same, right? So in a steady flow, the Eulerian and Lagrangian versions, they reduce to the same thing. The streamline path lines, they become the same. So if the flow is steady, then the path line also cannot intersect itself. So even though, just remember, even though, let's say after time t equal to t1, the magnitude of velocity vector, it remained the same, but the direction, that should also remain the same. Then only we can say the velocity vector is not changing with respect to time. Okay. So is it clear to all of you? Is it clear? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir, it is clear, sir.
Fine. Okay. So just go home and again think about this. Okay, again think about this, and if you have any further query, then I will further discuss. Okay. So now let me take you to another concept, that is streak line. So what is this streak line now? So a streak line at any instant of time is the locus of so let me finish it quickly, temporary locations of all particles that have passed through a fixed point in the flow field. Okay, so this is the definition of a streak line. So in very simple words, let's say I took a fixed point. Let's say here. Okay, so let me call this point as O. Now what happened? Let's say like at time t equal to 0, there was some fluid particle P1 which started its journey from this point. Okay. So let's say this point is P1 here, and now this fluid particle, it crossed this, let's say, point at some time, let's say after delta t. Okay. Now again at t equal to t0, some another fluid particle, let's say P2, again this was passing through this point. Oh, let's say after time. Okay, so let's say it was passing this point O after, let's say, time 2 delta t. Okay, something like that. So after certain time intervals, what is going to happen, that at any instant of time, at this particular point O, there will always be a fluid particle which is crossing this point. Okay, so let's say you have a number of boats in a river and you are watching the tree. Okay, you are watching the tree in the river. Okay, you are fixed, your attention is fixed to that tree, and what happened, one boat cross, then another boat cross. Okay, so now in a similar way, a number of fluid particles can cross this point. Now what happens, let me take you this one also. So what happens, P1, P2, P3, P4. Now if you join at any instant of time t, okay, if you join these points, okay, so if you join these points, just remember that all these points, they must cross this point O. So that is the criteria for a streak line, that all these points, okay, they must have passed through this point O at some instant of time, let's say at some time t equal to t naught. So let's say after some time, t plus delta t or t2, after some time at time t2, let's say at time t2, okay, all these fluid particles, they reached, one reached at this location, another fluid particle reached at this location, another reached at this location, another reached at this location. So when you join this, the, okay, the path of these fluid particles, then this line which you have, it is called as streak line. So very simple example of a streak line is, if let's say someone is, let's say the smoke that is coming out of a chimney, okay, in a factory. So that is a simple example of a streak line. Okay, so if you, let's say, like focus your attention at some point in the, let's say, like space, then what will happen, you will observe that a number of fluid particles that are passing through that point. Okay, so if you join the, okay, the path of these particles at some moment of time, then that will give you the streak line. Okay, so now again let me mention one important thing, that for study flow, so this thing is very important. Just go home and try to understand this, that for study flow, if you have any query into this, then please ask me. Okay, for study flow, what is going to happen, the streamline and path line, we knew that the streamline path line, they become the same thing, but what about the streak line? Now can I say for a steady flow, all of them will represent the same thing? Because now what is going to happen? Now the fluid properties, they are not changing with respect to time. Always remember. Okay, so the streamline, the path line, okay, and the streak line all become the same when the flow is steady. Just remember. Okay, so what is going to happen? That means at time t1, the velocity at this point was, let's say, v1 vector, v2 vector, v3 vector, and v4 vector. And after some time, let's say t3, again the velocity remained the same. The velocity remained the same at all these points. Okay? So that means if you draw a tangent here, okay, that will give you the direction of velocity. That will give you the direction of velocity. That will give you the direction of velocity. And this velocity vector, since it is not changing with respect to time. Okay, so that means after time, let's say t3, at certain time t3, what is going to happen? Again, this streak lines, if you take two streak lines, they will not be able to intersect each other. So that means for a steady flow, what is going to happen? The streamline, the path line, and the streak line, they all become identical. Okay, so just go home and think about this. And finally, like I will write down the final equation for a streak line. So it will be simply a function of some function of s vector comma t comma time t. So what is this fs vector? So this fs vector is nothing. So it is simply okay. So let it be fs vector comma t. So now this s1 vector is nothing. This is simply your s0 vector. Okay. Simply your s0 vector. So if you take, let's say, the fluid particle at time t is equal to 0, and this identity is S naught vector. Okay, so then what is going to happen? Then this S naught vector, it simply becomes a function of S1 vector comma t. Okay, so this S1 vector is, let's say, representing some point P1, correct? So now this is the equation of a streak line. So this thing, don't worry, this thing will become more clear when I will take a numerical. So that will make the things more clear. Right now it might be confusing to you that how this equation came, but it will become more clear when I will solve the numerical on a streak line. Okay, so with this, let me finish this and just go home and think about these things. Okay, streak line, path line, and streak line, how are they becoming identical for a steady flow? Okay, so see, only thing you have to like think about that for a steady flow, the Eulerian and Lagrangian versions, they are the same. So if they are the same, automatically these three things, they will become like similar. Okay, because here this streak line, that is also an outcome of Lagrangian approach. Okay, nothing else, because we are seeing the motion of a particle that has crossed through a fixed point O. The only criteria which I have put here is that all these particles, they should cross this fixed point O. Okay, so
they all should pass at same time or at any different time?
okay.
So what will be the syllabus for midterm, up to buoyancy or up to this kinematic?
No, up to buoyancy.
Buoyancy,
Okay?
buoyancy.
Up to buoyancy and flotation. Don't include kinematics, because kinematics is what I feel like it could be slightly heavy for all of you. So for kinematics, actually, these things that is streak line, steady flow, they will become more clear when we actually take some numerical. Okay, so right now, just leave it.
And sir, paper will be MCQ based or subjective?
The timing I will notify that it will be of 1 hour or 1.5 hour. Okay, so I will notify.
And sir, subjective, objective.
The questions will be subjective. In mid semesters, like there will be no objective questions, correct? So it will be like some subjective questions, and mostly like it will be numerical only. Okay, so numerical, and maybe like if what do you guys like wish that if you want theory, then I can give theory also. So just tell me like what you guys want. You want theoretical questions also?
MCQ.
Hello. Hello.
I think numericals will be fine, right? So mostly mid semester exam paper will be numerical, correct? So there will be some simple numericals, then it will be average paper, don't worry. Okay, so it will be not like that you are not able to